Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Once again, this is another wonderful Wednesday with your laser friend, Don. I am with Trotec Canada. I've been here for just about 2 years. I'm the consumables manager, and I would like to welcome you once again back to the 1 hour Rayjet design stream. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to drop us a quick hello in the chat, let us know where you're watching from, or if you're tuning back in from a previous episode, we really appreciate it. I'm here with the very talented, oh no, he's running away. He's running. Miguel Machado, how are you, man?
Hey everybody, how are you guys doing?
It's a good day, man. It's a good day. It's a little bit overcast today here in Mississauga, but I love this weather.
Yeah.
I would much rather take a day that's like overcast than 32 degrees.
Talking about 32 degrees, wasn't 32 degrees 2 weeks ago?
I hate 2 weeks ago.
I think tonight was last night was 9 degrees. I think 3 a.m. in the morning, it was really, really cold. I was like, really? 2 weeks ago?
Why were you up at 3 a.m. in the morning?
Hmm?
Why were you up at 3 a.m. in the morning?
The window was open. I got up because it was too cold. I was like, oh my God.
Okay. I'll accept this answer.
Do not put me on the spot, Don. This is live. This is recorded.
Absolutely. That's how I know I'll get an honest answer out of you. For anybody who is watching for the first time, just really quickly in a nutshell, every week on Wednesday, same laser time, same laser channel, we ask Miguel and a very talented guest, or oftentimes multiple very talented guests, I mean, it's up and down all the time, to put together either a product for us or a particular technique, something they can show you in 1 hour centered around kind of like our Rayjet Trotec laser. Keep in mind that anything you see on this stream can be applied to basically any of the Trotec lasers, but here we stand the Rayjet very, very much. He's our favorite. Speaking of very, very talented guests, I would like to bring in Amy Hill. Hello, Amy.
Hi, guys.
Welcome back.
Good to be back.
Good to have you back. Amy is an incredibly talented illustrator and designer. We love having her here not only because it means that Miguel gets a little bit more time and Amy gets a little bit more time to design, but also because Miguel is typically an illustrator boy and Amy is very much a Corel Draw friend. I don't get to use Corel Draw enough here, so getting to watch you use Corel Draw and learn stuff with Corel Draw really, really helps, especially when if I start using Illustrator, I know I've always got, like, Miguel unfortunately sits in the desk right behind me, so I can always just turn around and I have this infinite knowledge of, like, how would I do this or fix this? Doug, JC, Juan Carlos, very happy to have you back. Very, very happy to have you back. Watching from Beaumont, Alberta. Welcome, welcome. I do not want to delay today because I think today's challenge is like a pretty cool one, personally. This is one that I could see a lot of people being able to use either for themselves or like as a saleable business plan. Today we're going to be doing some custom phone cases. Yep. We're going to be showing you some stuff that's either like, let's say a decal that you could put in a phone case, but of course, well, I'll let Miguel explain it. He'll do it better than I will. But I mean, just about anything you see today, I assume could be applied with a little bit of testing to a phone case itself if you had one.
Mm-hmm. Is that your cue for me to get in?
I mean, go for it, man. I always got more. You just tell me.
All right. So today, actually, I'm going to show you guys also how to create your own template if you so want to. It's not that hard for most of the phones, especially today that they're same shape.
Yeah.
Basically, they're like a rectangle with bezeled corners. Yes, yeah. That's how you say it. Yeah, so it's pretty easy to make it as long as you know the sizes of the stuff that you want to do it. I'm gonna use today the Trolleys Thins in metallics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hola, as they say. Yeah. Well, hola, as they say. Well, I say hola. Or yay. Something like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Laser Tech Botswana is a typical repeat viewer. We're so happy to have you guys back. Thank you so much for tuning in.
I did some testing on Quark, right? Yep. This one here of the best superhero ever, right? So
look like that, man.
What?
Sorry, go ahead.
What?
It doesn't look like Batman, but you go ahead.
I mean, do you want to be kicked out of the stream? Or... But anyway, right? So I did that on Quark. This is an iPhone 7, 7, 8 case, something like that. Right? And as you guys can see, you can. It's just the cork.
Yep.
And it's easily removable. Best superhero.
I mean,
and you, go ahead.
That engraving did turn out really, really nice. It does look really great.
Yeah. So cork is a pretty cool material to do, and there's plenty of different techniques to achieve a good phone case. We have a customer of ours that do inlays with that. Eventually, we're going to do inlays, but that is really, really difficult to do in like a material this thin. And they make some great products. I forgot their name.
I am going to see if I can track it down. You go ahead. I'm going to try and see what
I think it's Scanway Designs or something like that.
I think so. Let me see if I can find them. Hold on.
They're incredible. So, anyway.
Sorry.
Don't look at that.
I don't know what that sound was, but that was a great sound. Here I am Googling it the other.
I'm talking about the comments. Bobster just said that I need a sense of humor. What do you mean?
I feel like calling it out maybe doesn't. Is that proof of the comment?
The irony in that comment is so. But
I found some of these great Kenway, the K-Way. Sorry, pardon me, K-Way designed.
Yeah, Keyway design, exactly. Keyway design.
Let me see if I can pull some of them up. So let me ask you a question. When you're talking about the different techniques that you can use for stuff like this, I mean, one thing that we talk about a lot is if you are working in an engraving shop and you've only got one chance to engrave something. I mean, I don't know how many times we've heard about stories of people bringing in like their single pair of, like Yeezys or their father-in-law's guitar that he treasures that they want to engrave, a picture of something on the back. And they're like, I've only got one shot. Like, what am I going to do? I assume you're going to be able to kind of touch on some I don't even know, positioning. I mean,
it's positioning. Positioning. Yeah. That's exactly what we're going to do here. I mean, we're not going to engrave on a phone. I wish, but I think
that'll come in the future. That'll come in the future when we've let's see. Sorry, I've got these.
Apple started,
okay, I'm going to share these.
Like those glasses.
I bet you could find some Google glasses on eBay at this point for about $20 that you could probably. Here we go. Can you guys see these?
Yeah, this is all inlay, you guys. This is insane.
Unreal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And one thing I like about this too, I mean, you didn't see it, I sort of clicked through it prior to sharing my screen, is that as Miguel was sort of alluding to earlier, you can, when you come into the Keyway site, you're able to pre-select the type of phone you have, obviously. So, which size of iPhone, whichever, it might be. But a lot of the techniques and stuff that they're going to be talking about today are going to be things that are scalable in a lot of ways, right? So if you learn how to do a really great high quality phone case for an iPhone 11, I assume, Miguel, that like the design process you're going to follow to then translate that same type of design to any other phone is going to be pretty similar.
Yeah. And once you have the template set, like everything becomes 10 times easier, right? Because you know that you're always going to be, for instance, engraving inside this kind of template, for instance, for iPhone 7 and 8. So you don't need to think that much in positioning and all of the stuff, right? You just need to know, like, okay, what phone do you have? This is the one. Okay, let me center this, and this is how it's going to look. And you hit go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I have to ask, how have you been keeping? We didn't get to have you on last week, so I'm excited, like really excited to have you back this week.
Oh, thank you.
Do you have something in mind that you want to work on today? Did you have something that you prepared in advance, or are you going to go off like the top of the head? What's the plan?
I've got something in mind. I'm usually, because we are heading into August. Not August.
September.
We're going into autumn. Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Autumn.
I wish it were August. Yeah. So I mean,
autumn.
You're using that as your inspiration, I take it.
Yeah, it's the 22nd for the Northern Hemisphere, so I'm going to be using some cardstock.
Oh, cool. That's
So
gonna be
hopefully
really
it'll
nice.
go well.
I think it's gonna be really, really cool. Quick question here too in the chat. Uncle was mentioning about their metalwork was bend while they were engraving. What can you do to keep it from bending? I guess it would sort of depend on the thickness of the metal and also the
Yes. If
speed of
it's
the
very
laser.
thin, you can just double side tape to a flat bed.
Yes.
That's
That's typically what we would do, right? Is usually like a really strong double-sided foam tape, something like that. Anyways, do you guys want to kick it off? I mean, I'm ready to kind of put this stuff. I've got the timer ready to go. If you guys want to maybe start doing some designs, Miguel, you could share your screen and we could get it going.
All right, let's go.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. I share my screen. Okay, so this is the case that I made for my testing when I was doing on the iPhone 7, right? But I'm gonna create from scratch now, so you guys can see how that is done. Plenty of ways you can measure the phone itself or the case, but I'm just gonna take a picture of the phone
Okay.
and trace it. You know?
I mean, do you think the basic shape of the phone would be available online too? If someone
Absolutely. That's actually easier if you. Okay, that was Lev's idea, but I'm gonna say to you, if you also want, you can just Google
no.
templates, vector templates for iPhone 7 and 8. That's how I found mine. But sometimes it'll be a little bit off the actual size because they won't be for printing, right? I don't know exactly what they're made of for. If they're just like for graphics, but they're not made for laser design. So you have to tweak a little bit until you find the perfect size, right? But yeah, I think it's easier to show me looking for it rather than
Well, I think like what you were describing of being able to take a photo of the phone and then be able to trace it using Illustrator is a great technique because it's the sort of thing that you can use also. If you were doing, say, a foam cutout for a box for a custom object, that might be the sort of thing I assume that you would use for something like that, where you would take the picture of the item, you would trace around it to be able to create sort of your contour, and then scale that into your piece of foam, let's say, for example, so that when you cut it out, you know that you're going to be able to fit your object in there perfectly.
Yeah, so
but I mean,
it's hard to find the real vector, like vectees, for instance. You'll see some here, but I don't know if those cases are scaled to the actual size,
Yeah. Well, and that's sort of the other benefit of your tracing method, right? Is that you know that you're going to be bang on every time. This would be sort of like a fallback, I assume, if somebody asked you to do like a, Samsung Galaxy or something, and you didn't happen to have one to hand.
Even tracing is also kind of tricky because, okay, so let me take this to my one. So actually, this is really, really close to the actual size. Which one? Okay.
That's really cool.
So yeah, even if you're tracing, how can I say that? Your picture won't be to scale, right? That's basically it. So you'll be a little bit off anyway. So look at this. So it's 5 by 235. It's a little bit bigger than that, as I got it here when I was doing my tests. See?
Oh wow.
So it depends on the case that you're trying to do, but those are mostly to.
Like, as a backup, you always have like the manufacturer of the case or the phone who's going to have like the exact specs on their website, hopefully.
Oh, shit. Yes, exactly. And go back there. So you can either search on the internet or take a picture, but anyway, the result will be the same. You have to go back to Illustrator, make sure that you have the. Oh my God, I'm showing my other projects. Like Rectangle 2, have a smart, like go to view, smart guides is a blessing when you're doing something like that. Have a smart guide selected, come to a corner, trace it, right? Size to the size that you need to do, and then you can have this like wedges here, the paths, and you can drag the wedges to whatever you need, right? And then you create the cut line like that. Do the same thing for the inside part.
Oh,
You're
really
set.
cool.
Like it's no much of a secret there to create the template of the case, right? So, want to say something, Amy? Did you find another way to do that?
I roughly did what you did. I went on the Apple Store website. Usually they have the measurements for each of the phones. So I usually just put that into the computer, rounded off the corners, and reduced a lot of the size so it didn't clip through like the little plastic case that I bought for today's live stream.
That is one thing to keep in mind too. I mean, if you're going to do custom engraving like on a case itself, so whether it's wood or whether it's plastic or like a clear one like Amy showed there, just be sure you're being careful about the material that case is made from. Just always something like from a consumable standpoint that I want to mention, that if you're buying something that is particularly like a plastic, but even some of the wood cases, I mean, we were looking at potentially having Miguel do a wood case for us, but oftentimes they are just a thin layer of, say, bamboo or something on top of a plastic frame. So just be really, really careful when you're looking at engraving something like that, that it's, doesn't have anything in it that would be unsafe for engraving. But the whole list of materials that'd be unsafe and safe materials also are on the website, the troteclaser.com.
Mm-hmm. So now this is just the template for cutting, right? If you're going to cut the material that you're doing, if you're just engraving, for instance, you get from a client, it's good for you to have this so you know what you're designing in, right? So let's say you go back here to Vecteezy, since I'm already here, and look for, let's say, cool pattern, flower pattern, let's say.
I thought you were going to type in cool pattern. I was really excited to see what would come up.
So if you download this is going to be way too big for the phone, probably. Right? Again, guys, like, give your designer the proper credit if you're going to do that, like, to make money with somebody else's design, right?
Absolutely.
It's not free.
Yes.
It's freedom. But anyway, so
also, if you're curious about making a pattern, Miguel did a great Rage It live stream about that for us just a couple weeks ago. So you can always go through our YouTube page and find, some of our archives and find the really cool techniques that you were teaching us there. Wait, what did you just do?
I deleted the background.
I mean, was it separated into a separate layer already?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, what incredible tool was that?
Now I'm dividing, right? Because I want just the inside part of the pot, the plants, right? So I'm delete everything else, and now we have this. This is what I want. I'm gonna copy this. What?
Forgive me, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I had two great comments here from LaserTech that I want to mention. So they were saying one of the things that you can do is just safer to scan the phone using a desktop scanner if possible, so you can get the exact measurements. I didn't realize that would even be possible, but I suppose if you had a scanner of adequate size, like, yeah, you could squeeze an iPhone into a scanner.
Yep.
But they were mentioning that they've done some engraving on the aluminum back, like iPhones and iPads, using a rayjet. And I was curious if they use like Surmark or a metal marking compound for something like that. I assume you would have to, right, to be able to mark directly onto the aluminum using a rayjet, because it'd be a CO2 laser.
Yes, you do. You have to anodize it.
I'd be really curious. I mean, if you could share some photos of how that turned out, if you have any on your website or on Instagram, definitely tag us. I'd love to see that. I'm sorry, Miguel, you were saying.
Oh, I'm just doing my stuff here. Actually, so from this, you have a huge pattern. Let me take this line out of here. So, okay. Let's see if I can just mask this. I don't know.
So that was the wireframe mode you were using just then, right?
I'm sorry?
The wireframe that you just went into there to be able to see more clearly the vectors?
Yes, the wireframe, Control Y.
Yes. Yeah, okay. I was curious because I saw it looked like it, yeah. Because you had a really great use of this last week too, and I want to try and incorporate this more into when I'm working on designs, because it really helps to clarify everything in order that like you're in a position to really see clearly what it is that you're doing.
Yeah. So I think this is the time to send to Amy, because now it's just boring stuff. It's me putting the thing together and sending it for the machine.
I would love to. Amy, can you share your screen with us? I have a quick comment here while you're doing that too. Photo guy was asking about the base price for the Rayjet series. So unfortunately, I don't really know price, I'm afraid. It does change from country to country. So I could only kind of give you like typically in Canada at least, monthly financing of a Rayjet is probably somewhere around $200 to $300, but that is kind of Canada exclusive. I would say if you just go to troteclaser.com, you'll be able to get in touch with your local Trotec, and they would be able to advise you both on financing prices and then on what the total cost of the machine was. Oh, and LaserTech mentioned about tagging us on Insta with the iPad. Please do. I would love to see that. That'd be really, really cool. All right, Amy, now that Miguel is off doing his so-called boring things.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see your design because I feel like the pattern paper that you showed us was really cool, but I wasn't sure how you were going to incorporate it.
I'll be just laser cutting around the pattern paper for the first example. And for a second example, I'll be doing sort of like a little simple decoupage.
Like
decoupage.
Yeah, what's the difference between decoupage and a collage? Would I be wrong in saying that they were sort of like a similar technique, or?
Yeah, there's a difference. I think a collage is multiple images at once, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like all sort of smashed together to create well, smashed together when I do them because I'm bad at collaging.
Right, I'll just cut this out quick.
Yeah, please. I like the fact that you consulted the homepage of the manufacturer of the phone to get the measurements, because that does seem like a really smart way to go about getting kind of exact measurements.
Exactly.
Not to mention the fact that it doesn't, like Miguel said, it doesn't really change that much from generation to generation.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of the XL huge butt bending iPhones and stuff that got released.
And at the end, if that's basically your business model and you're going to be doing that all the time, might as well save them, right?
Absolutely. Well, and not to mention the fact too that phones generally, I mean, this is just my opinion, but phones themselves have gotten to a level, particularly with Android phones, where the level of customization on the phone is pretty high. But I feel like cases have only really come so far. I feel like, you go to the store that in Toronto would be the Rogers store or whatever, where you buy your phone case, and it's kind of, the same 20 things over and over and over again. So as a business model, I really like the idea of using custom phone cases as a way to help people not only do something really cool with their phone, but also try to match the level of customization that the phone gives you, but on the case itself as well. Because there's really no reason that you should have a beautiful, beautiful phone and package it in an ugly case. That to me just seems like such a shame.
I agree.
Although I'm also one of those dummies who, for the most part of his life, kept the phone out of a case in his pocket just because I was like, no, I like the form factor. And then inevitably, of course, I would drop it and smash it, and then it would just be hideous. Oh, sorry, I'm having flashbacks. PTSD. So, Amy, I have to ask. This is not the first time I've seen you use the pattern paper or the artist paper. Something that you would buy. Because, I mean, forgive me my ignorance, but it reminds me of the sort of high quality pattern paper that you would see in scrapbooking books and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, please, yeah. So I was curious about where you got it. If you had any secret tips that you wouldn't mind sharing with us. You know what I mean? So that we don't I don't want to give away your supply, but if it's they're really beautiful things. You know what I mean? I don't want to give away your secret dealer, but
It's not like you're dealing drugs, but that's all right.
It adds a sense of danger to an otherwise wholesome stream.
Yeah, I got my supplies usually from Hobbycraft. It's like a big square pattern paper.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I was picturing. And then it opens like a flip book, right? And each one is a different pattern. That's
you get about 3 different designs for each one, and it just keeps recycling, which is great.
That's cool. I have to ask if you scrapbook.
I used to when I was at college, but no more. I don't have the time.
Okay, so this is ready to go.
That does look really cool, Miguel.
All right, and this is gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while.
It's a lot of detail.
Yeah.
Tell me about the material you're using. I know you said you were using the thins.
I'm
Can you
gonna
the
use
color
the white on black, black and white. I don't know how do you
so
how do you call
it's
this?
all the colors are labeled like top color / undercolor. Oh,
Black
that's
and
really
white.
cool.
Yeah.
Actually,
So
I'm gonna make that.
that's
Can you show me one
Here
more
we
time?
go. This is what the pattern paper looks like.
That's
pretty
really
cool.
nice.
Need to place it inside the thing now.
pretty cool. Oh, a tip for you guys in general for engraving is that if you're engraving something that's that vertical, right, has that much detail, do it horizontally, right? It's faster. Machine
Yes.
travels less and has less things to work, right? So that's
Yes.
why I flip the phone like this instead of doing it vertically. I'm just gonna do it horizontally.
Smart.
And let me do but the other one. Oh, another thing. If I wasn't
Yes, we are.
I'm gonna add a sticker to it because it'll be
Please
just
do.
too plain. Oh, I also forgot the double-sided as well, so the insides are quite pretty as well.
That's cool.
so pop the laser cam, please.
Yep.
Okay, so if I wasn't as lazy as I am, which is a lie, right? I would use double-sided tape to put this on a flat bed, right?
Mhm.
Rayjet already has some kind of a vacuum thing here in the middle. Let me. This is really thin, right? There's two holes here.
Yep.
But unfortunately, they're not enough if the material is cut kind of small, right? Like I did to this. So you normally would tape it to the bed. Like I said, I'm pretty lazy, so I'm gonna use
Some weights.
a sneak peek of what we're gonna do.
Stuff that's upcoming.
Stuff
Well,
that is
and
coming. Yes.
Another thing
Oh,
you
wait.
can use, I will mention just as an aside, because I've had to use it before, and this is a great sort of callback to when we were talking earlier with Argokul, I think it was, about the metal that was bending when doing the engraving. Another one of the things you can use to hold material down, particularly thin material like Miguel was talking about, is magnets. If you put a magnet on the table, because the table is stainless steel, you're able to set the magnet on top of the material and it'll hold it in
That's
place.
true.
It just depends on. Oh, I mean, that's really cool.
There we go. We are awesome.
That's really, really cool.
Not to brag, but we are awesome.
I mean, it's self-evident, right?
All right,
Miguel.
start on the second design.
Please do. You said it was like autumn inspired.
Yeah, well, that was more like 80s again, going back to the 80s thing. But I'm going to start the decoupage of the autumn, not
Please
August.
So, I mean, August Autumn could be like the name of a really great like emo rock band. I feel like at that. I had to ask Miguel. So you mentioned about the laser, how it's optimized to go left to right. Is that something that you're taking into account basically anytime you're like laying out your design for cutting on the machine? Because it's something I always forget.
Yes. I mean, this is for engraving only. This is not for cutting. For cutting, the laser will run through all the machine, the curves, all the stuff like sharp corners. But when you're engraving, the laser head is basically moving from left to right. And the actual arm is moving slowly going down or up, depending on the direction that you put the engraving to go. Right? So it makes it way easier and way faster for the laser to work on a horizontal line rather than in a vertical line.
Can I ask, so for a material like this, are you engraving bottom up or top down?
Bottom up. All the time bottom up. And I still think it's not going to be that good. It's quite grayish. Right? This is really, really thin. So we kind of have to try a couple times until...
So there'll be a certain amount of cleaning that you might have to do when this material comes out of the laser.
Yeah.
Okay. But if somebody were to see like some of the residue from the material settling in their engraving, they shouldn't be discouraged, kind of thing. Like that's something you should expect. Maybe that's going to be a pretty common occurrence.
Yes, plastics in general are like that, and you have to clean. You have to have your own. This, as you can see, it's not
non-brand specific.
You gotta use this all the time.
Yeah.
Make sure you clean your stuff. And for plastics, you can use coconut oil. We have some laser hacks for acrylics, right? To put dish soap. There's tons of stuff that you can use on top of your material to make it look sharper and better. you know.
Sure.
But yeah.
I'm gonna watch Amy work a little bit on this design. Miguel, are you thinking about maybe getting started on your second one while the first one is engraving?
Oh, the second one's quite simple. Actually, the second one I want for myself, but
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Amy, you have a tendency to do a lot of really cool stuff with typography, I find.
Yeah, I really enjoy sort of distorting letters and trying to get them to fit into certain shapes.
I mean, I can see that. That looks like it must have been a nightmare.
It was fun.
Do you hand illustrate the letters, or are you literally warping the pre-existing?
Do hand illustrate. I use it on my iPad again.
Very cool. Just for anybody who hasn't watched before, so Amy, if I'm understanding correctly, your workflow typically is like a lot of hand illustration on the iPad and then import into CorelDRAW, right?
Yep.
Cool. See, that's what these Illustrator boys don't understand. CorelDRAW is cool. But I have a lot of respect for that too. In school, they had us hand illustrate fonts and like hand create fonts, and that is a lot harder than you would assume that it would be. Particularly when your penmanship is already just trash, just so bad.
I don't know, man. I can't use Corel to save my life. At least not on the level that Amy does. But I will learn. I have to.
100%. Well, you undersell yourself too. You are very good with Corel. Also, like, Miguel, you're kind of like you're a Swiss Army knife in as much as like, in the coming weeks, you're going to see Miguel not only using Illustrator, but also using Corel and Rhino and, a whole variety of different softwares, several different kinds of job control between like the RageKit Manager and job control and the large format machines. You know what I mean? Amy's like Amy's a sniper rifle. It's like a super high quality in one like special area. I'm losing my metaphor here, guys.
You're gonna call me a shotgun, right?
Not anymore. I'm not. A grenade. The famous Bruno Mars grenade. Listen, the story come out. What did you have planned? You said your second design was kind of simple, but like I have to say, man, so far I've really, really liked your designs. I know the pattern was something that you found on Vecteezy, but like I would buy that potentially. I mean, I liked the Superman that you did, but I assume that was also like done as a vector trace from like another image.
Yes, that was an auto trace from an illustration. But what I'm gonna do second is actually position it anywhere I want, right? So I can show you guys that you can do that, no problems. If you have your like iPhone and you want to do it on the back of an iPhone, straight up, right? It's not that hard. You just have to position the laser. I'm gonna show different ways of positioning on the RageKit Manager, but let me finish this one first and show you guys the result.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, if you're doing something from scratch, right? So we're doing the vectors. If you're cutting, if you're putting on the back of the phone case of a silicone phone case, right?
Yes.
If you're doing that, the way that I just did, it's good enough. Now, if you already have a surface to work with and you only have one shot, how do you do it? Especially if you're using the RageKit Manager for the first time. So there's some ways to do it.
I love the idea of somebody whose first ever engraving on the RageKit Manager is going to be something that they only have one shot to do. Mom spaghetti.
I mean, it's not the smartest thing to do, right? But then again,
hey, you know what? It might happen though. Somebody might just walk in the door that morning and be like, "I need this engraved right now. I'm headed to, give it as a present at a I don't know, at a party or something, and I had an inspiration to get it engraved." Or who knows? I've heard crazier stories coming from engravers. I've heard of engravers doing like crazy cool like last minute jobs for people. How's it looking, man?
It's looking good. It's a little bit grayish, but it's looking good. I think because I'm doing autofocus, I may have to like go a little bit higher on the autofocus technique. Now I'm cutting. Right?
The autofocus?
Yes.
I didn't realize that you'd gone out of focus.
I had to.
Are you also doing the technique where you're doing sort of like an engraving and then doing a very gentle kiss cut around the exterior of each of the elements?
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Uh-oh. So
here it comes.
It didn't, but because I didn't tape, since I'm lazy.
It's not that you, I mean, like,
it does.
It does take a little bit of time, and I do have Miguel on a timer, so like it's not, quite so easy as that. But Present your work, Mr. Machado,
Okay, let me.
for the class to evaluate.
Yes. So, because, and this is good. Like again, it's live, so we do make mistakes.
Of course.
Because the. Are you sure this is white?
Yep.
It's kind of gold.
All
Did you
right.
use the black gold? That is really, really cool, Amy. Will you show it one more time? Is that also done with like a construction paper, or is that done with wood?
No, this is just done with normal card. Just normal cardstock.
It's really cool. I love that color.
So now you.
All right.
Miguel.
Gotta add something else to it now.
Now I need to go back to Miguel really quick. We're gonna have tell us what you did.
So now you guys definitely know that this is live because I didn't know that this was black and gold, and I was like, "Why is it looking gold? This is so wrong. I have to do this right." But the trolleys things that we got was black and gold, so it is gold to a
It
certain
does
point,
look really cool.
and it kind of fades out in the bottom, right? This is because the plastic, while it was engraving, kind of bended over a little bit. So you have to tape this down so it's perfectly flat.
Yes.
So my comments about my engraving being bad are removed because they're actually good. Because this is the
cool.
color that it's supposed to be. Yes, I just didn't know that. So,
Quick question from LaserTech for you, Miguel, as well. But why did you have to go out of focus?
okay, so when you're engraving the surface, right? So you're burning the surface to get a result. When you go out of focus, the spot size of the laser changes a little bit. It becomes bigger, right? So you burn more of the surface, but you're not as sharp as it's supposed to be, right? And when you're doing thin materials in general, or thin layered materials, like the trolleys thins, going in focus is a little bit tricky because you might see a little bit of a bubbling because of the heat.
Yes.
It's not going to look that good. If you go out of focus, you can up a little bit the power. It will have a bigger spot size. It will engrave more of the surface, right, and not damage the material in itself. Right? You might have to do a little bit of kiss cutting if you want, or go to high quality engraving to make sure everything is perfect. But in general, that's why, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah, I normally don't do autofocus for that, but I'm pretty sure Mark Clark has other uses for autofocus techniques.
Yes. I hate to show this to you, Miguel, but we have to do it. Photo Guy mentions how the leaf is awesome. Women 1, men 0. Now, I'd like to point out that Miguel has leaves in his as well.
Yes.
But I do
Check
agree
this
that
out.
the leaf is
We
very
both
awesome.
What?
We both winners.
We are awesome.
Yeah.
That engraving does look really nice, Miguel.
I'm not gonna fight with Amy anymore. I promised myself that. Now I'm a boring person, as that guy in the comment section pointed out.
Perhaps.
I'm not gonna be a smart ass anymore. I'm gonna be a boring, straight A person, right?
Ass right now.
What?
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's fun in that.
Being a smart ass right now.
I'm
Right,
not.
right.
I'm being genuine, dude. Like I cannot do that. Okay, so
What the decoupage, right, Amy? I mean, like you were gonna do leaves in a few different colors, I assume.
Yeah, well, I was going to add, with this here, it's got the cutout text.
Yes.
So I was going to add,
Oh, cool.
right,
Oh, that's awesome.
so
And
I
create, like,
either have it right behind it or like a shadow drop effect behind it.
oh, that's really cool.
So I just
Okay.
need to glue it all together.
Yes, please, as you were. All right,
As you
photograph
are, Soldier.
is number 1. Thank you. We appreciate that.
see.
Okay, Miguel, you were going to teach us a little bit about
You're
positioning.
the only person that actually appreciates me here.
Listen, you're very talented. You're very talented.
Keep saying that. You know, this like gives me pressure. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reuse this again because I'm on a timely schedule. So I'm gonna put skip here. I'm just gonna cut, right?
Okay.
Okay, so only 18 seconds. Do I need to? Nah, I don't need to do anything. So I'm just gonna cut this. Here you go. Oh, gotta reset. And I'm gonna get the
That is so quick.
the shape. Okay? But again, guys, that was lucky. I have no idea what just happened here at the laser, but that was really lucky.
That's always what I like to hear.
Yes.
During our live program.
Yeah, like so that you know what happened. Like this thing here, when I was cutting, it flew to the side of the line, so the laser was going to go over the thing and not cut through. But then the exhaust pulled it at the last second, and I don't know. It's kind of lucky. Anyway, so all right, you do have your phone for all
intents and purposes.
Yes, you do have your phone here, but you're like, okay, so how do I position a job for this thing? All right, so let me get a cool symbol to put on the phone case. Why you're laughing? Do not laugh.
I know already what it's gonna be. So I have to ask you guys, and I mean, like, this is very general in terms of a question, but Miguel, if you were going to be selling these phone cases, I assume that maybe actually, I mean, depending on the interest that you saw in it, this pattern might actually not be ideal for production, given that it is so work intensive and time intensive. I mean, sure. The entire engraving and stuff still only took, what, like 3-4 minutes?
Not 5 minutes.
But, you're in a position where, like...
But you definitely can do faster. Again, I do the way that I do because that was the first time I was doing a pattern this big.
Right.
So I didn't know how much heat the plastic would take, right? But as soon as you can make it faster. I used, I think, 70% speed on the engraving. So you still have 30%, leeway there.
Okay. I suppose also to your point from before, if you were to do multiple of them and stack them horizontally, you're also still going to increase the speed while at the same time, being able to create multiple pieces. Like you're going to be able to create 2 of those in less than the time. Like it's going to be less time than just doubling the time it took to make the first one, is what I'm trying to say. In the most convoluted possible way. I wanted to mention too, I put up this new banner here just while you guys were speaking. It's a pretty new promotion that we have running right now. We've ironed out all of the kinks, I think, at this point. But we wanted to find out a little bit more about the people who might be watching each week. And I knew it. I knew it was going to be a Superman logo. How's it feel? Okay.
Logo. Okay, dude. Okay, dude.
So we wanted to learn a little bit more about the people who might be watching each week, in order that we can hopefully, sort of tailor some of the stuff that we're going to be doing in the upcoming weeks to suit you best. So, what type of laser machine you might have, what type of materials you'd like to see, what sort of samples and things might be most relevant to what you want to do. So if you head to the bit.ly link that is there in the banner, it's just bit.ly/1hour promo. You can fill out a very short survey that just asks, basically, name, email, and then a little bit about the laser setup that you have right now, if any, and it entitles you to $25 in free materials at our web store. Amy, that's really, really cool.
There we go.
That turned out really, really good.
Thank you.
I love that drop shadow effect. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
That's my go-to noob designer thing when I'm making anything with text. Is I always just make 2 layers of the text and then scoot the bottom layer slightly. Like the high school designer thing to do in Photoshop. You're like, I'm very.
It works.
Well, that's back in.
All right, I'm just going to do the case for this one now.
Please.
Right. So, first way to position a job. Since we have the template here, we can change the color of the template to a blue, right? And use this as position. So when you use this as position, the job, when you send to either job control, if you do have a SPD, or to Rayjet Manager, it will be the size of the whole case, right? So I'm going to send this and set up. Actually, you guys are not seeing this, are you? It will. I have to stop sharing because, well. So preferences.
Perfect. Here, I'll make that the only screen too, so that we can see that.
Right. So that's just it. Oh, also, you asked me if that was visible for production, but I also use 600 dpi, right? So it was a little bit slow because of that. I wanted more detail. But if you go to 333, it would take 2 minutes to do that phone case.
Gotcha.
The one that I did before. Okay.
Okay.
So sending this one.
So that change that you made there in the preferences, just really quickly, can you tell me about like what difference that will have made for? I suppose you're going to show me now, but still.
There you go. Like it's not going to do anything to the blue, right? But I do know that the blue is here. I do know that this is the phone case that I want to do, right? And I don't know if I'm on the screen, but it's the exact same thing as this, right?
Right.
Am I on the screen?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can see it. Here.
So for positioning purposes, I'm gonna put this the laser cam and the Don?
Yep. Do you want me to just go like this?
Laser cam, yeah.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I just set it there, right? And on the rayjet manager, I am gonna move the laser head, right? So right now the laser head is in 0, 0, right? But I can move, and as you guys can see, the crosshair is also moving with that, right? So I can try and look at the laser spot and see where my corners are. Yeah. So it's actually here. Okay. So but is it still? I'm pretty sure it's not perfect because the file is a square. As the rayjet manager is reading the file as a square, but it's not a square, right? It has the wedge thing here. So ideally, I would center it to the middle. So I'm gonna move the laser head a little bit with my arrows. Find the center. Now I'm eyeballing, right? You guys can do this with much more precision if you're not like me. Oof. Okay. So now I know that this is centered. I can just click here. And you can move the laser head to make sure that you're inside the.
I do want to mention, obviously, this is not the ideal way to do this, but if you do only have sort of one shot or somebody who brings you their phone, this is like
you can create a jig. Yeah, you can create a jig. There's so many ways to do this. You can create a jig, create markers. So this case, to make sure that I will always default to the center, I'm gonna create a marker. So I'm going to replate and marker to laser or F8. So there's a marker here, and I'm gonna move the laser now. So I make sure that all the corners are there. You know, I'm not going over. So for instance, if I go here, I'm inside there. Okay. So I do know now that it's a bit wrong, right? Because here on my vector, I'm gonna remove this marker, Control Delete. My my camera hole here is above the laser, while in real life is inside the laser. So I can push it down a little bit. Okay. Just like this. All right? Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna hit go. I'm confident that this is correct. I'm just not confident that this is straight. Okay. Again, this is really a risky way to do it, but the laziest one, in my opinion. But it is a way to do it. Oh, wait, gotta.
I did see you showing that off, Amy, but I wanted to. I really want to try and get as much time for Miguel on camera as possible because it's such an important thing for anybody who's coming in. We get so many questions about like, how do I please not mess this up? Would you show us the phone case cutout that you did one more time, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so it is going.
It's awesome. Simple, but it works.
I love the texture on that paper. It's really, really nice.
I just got to glue the leaf onto it now.
Cool.
Just what? Sorry? Glue?
Well, there's like this really cool texture on the paper that she's using that is like really, really cool.
Oh, you're gluing the pieces?
Yeah, she's like hand assembling them. 2 parts PVA glue, 1 part water. Sorry.
If anyone wants to know, it's Cosmic Shimmer again.
Oh, I like the Cosmic Shimmer. That gave such a good effect last time.
It did.
So again, the way that I'm doing is the laziest one. I would say that the safest one is create a jig. Make sure that your jig is the exact same size as the one that the one thing that you're cutting or engraving. Create a marker to it, and make sure that the design is inside of the marker. Right? So
I would say there's no reason that, like, if you expect to have a lot of people coming into your store to engrave phones, you could potentially do a very simple jig from a piece of wood, let's say, that has the outlines of all the most popular models that you saw already in it, so you could just plug them in and away you go, kind of thing. But yeah, that's a good technique to teach, because I know when we do pens, for example, at trade shows, that's exactly what we do. We just make a really quick jig with some markers, and then we can just pop them in, down a row and make them as quickly as possible.
Exactly. Oh, let me show something else here.
Please, yeah.
In the Rayjet Manager, you can click and drag
like guidelines?
Guidelines, right? To snap things here. So that can also be a way for you to position a job, is if you want to go the more traditional route of measuring things. I
mean, that is like a really smart thing, though, because I didn't always, just for me personally, didn't always find the markers as easy to use as, say, like, I'm used to using guidelines just because most design softwares have them, right? Like both Corel and Illustrator have just like drag out guidelines from the rulers on the sides that you can use.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Then again, I'm not really much of one for like measure twice, cut once, I'm afraid. Just like why Miguel's on the other side of the camera here, because he obviously like knows what he's doing.
It's actually a little bit off in the center, right? It's a little bit to the right.
Okay.
I'm checking at the engraving here. However, it's inside the phone, right? But again, this is the laziest possible way you can do it, in my opinion, right? And it's still, if I was doing this seriously to like a client, I would still have a jig. Even if I did that way, I would still have a jig to make sure that that I can center the phone in this case rather than the engraving, right? Because as long as you know that the surface where you're engraving is flat and is centered and doesn't have any kind of tilt, it's very, very easy for you to engrave on it and like do anything on it, right?
I mean, obviously, too, like keep in mind that it's going to be design relevant as well. For the design that Miguel is doing right now, I mean, he's in a position where he doesn't necessarily need to worry about it being perfectly centered, because it's the design doesn't reach all the way to the bleed, right? Like it doesn't like reach off the edges of the design, so it doesn't have to be exactly perfectly centered. Obviously, that's what you're shooting for, but if you miss just slightly, it's not like you're going to have the design run right off of the page.
Exactly.
It is another thing that's cool about your pattern from before, though, is that like if you just place the cutout for the phone somewhere in the center of the pattern, you're never going to know that you don't nail the engraving exactly, because it's full bleed. Yeah, see, that looks awesome. Here, hold on, let me pop that up.
Cool.
So it's a little bit off, as you guys can see, but that was done with, let's say, our mock phone, right? There was nothing there on the table, just the phone, and I had to center that. Like, so a one trial run, let's say, right? But again, create a jig, and a jig would be exactly like this. Have something, of course, thicker than that, so it doesn't bend or anything.
Yeah.
Have a jig, and place the phone inside of it. Make sure that everything is centered, right? And especially if you have a sharp corner jig, it's better. So you know that the 0, of the laser is the 0 here.
Yep.
Just measure. Either you do with guidelines, either you go with the laser pointer. Anyway, you're gonna get there, right?
Well, and to that point, I'm really quickly going to share my screen because I wanted to mention about the material that Miguel is using, but then also because a lot of the Trotec materials that we have are available in the exact size of the beds of your Trotec. So if you want to make a jig, that's exactly the size of the Speedy 100, for example, we can sell you or make you a piece of material that's exactly that size. So there's no reason that you wouldn't just have something that's exactly the right size. You just cut your holes in it and then kind of away you go. But for anybody who was interested, this is engraving-supplies.ca. It is always a work in progress, but it is our little baby. The material that Miguel is using today is under our laser materials and under the plastics. He has some Trolleys thins, which are really similar to our typical Trolleys, except in this particular case, the Trolleys thins are 0.004 inches, I think the ones that he's using. There are a few different sizes, but the Trolleys thins, I believe, are 0.004 inches. And then similarly, the premium version of them, which I think will be just down here. I can scroll through and find them. Well, I don't want to take too much time, but the premium version of them are also here. They are even thinner, but they'll still give you that 2-layer one color lamecoid thing that Miguel is using. So anything that you engrave into them is going to give you like a relief color, and it's going to be able to make some really cool stuff. Keep in mind, like he said, with a material that's this thin, you are going to want to try and find a way on top of the vacuum table, typically, to try and hold it in place and make sure it's not going to move on you while you're engraving, particularly if it's one of these situations where you only have one shot to make something. But at the same time, it's a really, really cool material, one of my favorites, and we've done some really cool stuff on the YouTube channel with it, so I hope you will check it out if you get the chance. But yeah,
please do.
And that is also that engraving-supplies.ca. Oh, that's cool. Hold on.
There we go.
I like it. That's awesome.
Also use the little leaf that cut out with it. Nothing's wasted here.
That's awesome. Yeah, she's using all parts of the phone case. That's excellent.
There we go.
Another step there, the next step is doing inlays, right?
I think so. I think that's going to be coming in the future here before too long.
Yeah,
you guys are definitely capable of like some really fancy,
breaking the camera with the hammer. Yes.
Yeah. it's that like Super Miguel strength. I like also there's some sort of joke in there about how he gets changed into Superman in a phone booth, and now we're making custom Superman phone cases, but I just don't have the time here in the 1 hour to find it, I'm afraid.
I cannot be an smart ass anymore, so.
I should say, if we've inspired you guys at all to try making your own custom phone cases or your own custom phone case decals, I really hope you will post them up on Instagram, post them up on Twitter, Facebook, wherever it might be. Tag us with your photos. I'd be really excited to see them. It's always more inspiring for us to see the stuff that you guys do based off of our designs than necessarily to do the designs ourselves. Yeah.
One thing I got to tell you guys before we go. Shoot. Legos are a great way to do jigs. Legos, yes.
Yeah.
Great way.
Very easy to snap together, totally custom.
Yep.
And also engravable.
Yeah.
I think. I'm pretty sure. Let me look into that one. But I'm pretty sure that might be a fun one to do in the future. Anyhow.
Yeah, next week, engraving grapes. Actually, no. Next week is engraving Dawn.
Pardon?
Right? Wait,
yes. Yeah. Next week, I think I might be in the hot seat next week.
No, you might be. No. I'm gonna host this. I'm preparing myself. Actually, for the first time, I'll be able.
Is it next week or the week after?
Next week, 16th. Next week, 7 more days. Next week is 34th birthday, and the first. Oh God, the first time that I'm going to be running the Rage Jet during the challenge. And I want you guys to set your expectations high so that I'm challenged all week to try and, I gotta get my game face on. I'm going to try not to prepare anything in advance. I want to try and be, using the stuff that Miguel has shown me. I actually think it's probably going to be more of a challenge for Miguel.
Your host? Probably,
but
nobody's as good as you, man. Like hosting anything,
doing
videos. You have your 2-year experience.
Thank you, brother. But what I would say is the thing is that I'm gonna go in with the expectation that I know where my design skills are at, and I'm gonna try and push them a little bit and try and do something cool. But Miguel is gonna have to watch me for an hour, use Illustrator, and try and interpret some of the lessons while under pressure that he has taught me, and it's gonna be mayhem, I think, for him to watch.
He likes herding kittens.
Yes, exactly.
It's gonna be the first 2 hours laser design challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, prepare yourself.
I hope you guys are excited for that next week. I thank you so much for tuning in this week. I think that's going to do it for this week, but definitely make sure to tune in. You can always find our videos on YouTube. Thank you again, as always, so much to Amy for joining us, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye.